Hello friends, welcome to my channel SS Nursing Point. So today we will discuss a important topic that is called as memory. Okay, that is present in our psychology. So first of all we should discuss what do you mean by memory. So memory is one important things which is present in our learning. Without memory, the learning process is not effective. Yes or not? So memory is very much important in our life. So memory means what? If we should restore something in our mind, and also whenever necessary we should recall that things, then that is called as memory. So memory is one type of psychological process or psychological growth. So memory is one type of psychological growth in which we should restore all the things which is necessary and recall that things whenever it is necessary. Then that memory is also having one complex process. That means the memory is consist of learning, recall and recognition. So it is one type of complex process. So now we should discuss what is the definition of memory. So the definition of memory is that the power that we have to store our experience and to bring them in the field of consciousness sometimes after experience have occurred is termed as memory. That means memory is one type of power in which we should restore all the things, restore our past experience, and whenever necessary we should again recall that experience. Okay, so when we should recall that experience at the level of consciousness, that means we should having consciousness, and whenever necessary we should recall that past experience. So that is called as memory. So memory means what? When we should restore something in our mind and whenever necessary again we should recall that things, then that is called as memory. So that is the definition of your memories. Next, we should discuss what is the types of memory. So there are mainly three types of memory is present. First one is immediate memory, second one is short-term memory, and third one is long-term memory. So that long-term memory is otherwise divided into two types. First one is declarative memory, second one is procedural memory. So that declarative memory is again divided into two types. One is semantic memory and next one is episodic memory. Next, we should discuss about immediate memory. So immediate memory means what? It is also otherwise called as sensory memory. So sensory memory or immediate memory means if we should recall something or remember something for a short period of time, that may be for a split of time, that may be for a just for 1 second, that is called as immediate memory. So after that 1 second we should forget that thing. So that is called as immediate memory. For example, we can saw a phone number. By saw that phone number, I should remember that number and I should dial that number. So after talking or after calling that number, I should forget that number. So that is one best example of immediate memory. So immediate memory means what? If we should memorize something or recall something for a 1 second period of time, then that is called as immediate memory. Next, we should discuss about short-term memory. So that short-term memory is also otherwise called as primary memory. So here what happened? A person can remember the recent event, what recently occurred, that should be remembered by a person. So that is called as short-term memory or primary memory. And the time duration for that memory is having 20 to 30 seconds. So after completing of that 20 to 30 seconds, the person should forgetting that recent event. So that is called as primary memory or short-term memory. So here what happens? Short-term memory means the memory is for a short-term period. The recall of some event is for a short-term period. So that short-term period is having 20 to 30 seconds. Next one is long term memory. So long term memory means what? If we should restore something in our mind for a long period of time, that may be for some days, that may be for some hours, that may be for some years, and also that may be for lifelong period. So if we should restore something in our mind for a long period of time, then that is called as long term memory. And that long term memory is also again divided into two types. First one is declarative memory and second one is procedural memory. So first we should discuss what is that declarative memory. So declarative memory means what? If we should restore in our mind some factual information. So factual information means the correct information which is necessary for us for lifelong period, that is called as declarative memory. So declarative memory means if we should restore some factual information in our mind, then that is called as declarative memory. And that declarative memory is also again divided into two types. First one is semantic memory, second one is episodic memory. So semantic memory means what? The memory or the event which is related to the general knowledge and that cannot be changed. Okay, so the event which is related to the general knowledge, that is called as semantic memory. So for example, the Wilhelm Wundt is the father of psychology. So the psychology, so that cannot be changed, and that is one general knowledge. Okay, so if I should remember that for some days, for some years, for lifelong period, then that is called as long term memory. So that general knowledge, when we should remember some general knowledge, then that is going under our semantic memory. So for example, Wilhelm Wundt is the father of psychology. So that is one type of one example of semantic memory. Next one is episodic memory. So episodic memory means when we should memorize some biographical data, then that is called as episodic memory. For example, date of birth of oneself. So when I should remember my date of birth, that is also one type of long term memory. Understood? So that is going under our biographical details. Or for example, qualification data of individual person. So when I should remember my qualification data, that is also one type of long term memory. So all the biographical data is going under our episodic memory. So that is all about the declarative memory. So declarative memory means the memory which is related to the factual information or any correct information, and that is necessary for our lifelong period. So that is called as declarative memory. So that declarative memory is divided into two types. First one is semantic memory, second one is episodic memory. So semantic memory means what? When we should recall or restore some general knowledge, then that is called as semantic memory. For example, Wilhelm Wundt is the father of psychology. Next one is episodic memory. So when we should restore some biographical detail of individual person, then that is called as episodic memory. Next one is procedural memory. So that long term memory is divided into two types. First one is declarative memory. We already discussed about the declarative memory. And the second one is procedural memory. So procedural memory means what? When we should restore or when we should recall some skills and habits, that is called as procedural memory. So when we should restore any skills and habit in our mind, that is called as procedural memory. For example, remember how to ride a bike. Okay, already we should learn how to ride a bike. So when I should remember or recall that things, that how to ride the bike, then that is called as procedural memory. So memory related to any skill and habit is called as procedural memory. Next, we should discuss factor affecting memory. So there are various external factor and internal factor is responsible for the memory. So first of all, we should discuss what are the external factor which is affect our memory process. So first one, that external factor is otherwise called as extrinsic factor. So there are mainly four extrinsic factor is present which is affect our memory. So first one is meaningfulness of information, or meaningfulness of the material. That means the material or the information which we should recall or which we should restore, we should need to restore in our mind. It is also necessary that the material or the information is having a meaningful, so that I am interested to recall something, so that I am interested to restore that information in my mind. So always our information or our material is having meaningful. There is a purpose is also present, so that I should store that information in my mind. Second one is amount of material. Always the amount of material is having small. If the amount of material is having a large amount or large quantity, then it is not possible that I should memorize all the things. Okay, so if that material is having a limit, then it is possible that I should memorize that all the things. Next one is time required to vocalize the information. It is necessary that if I need to memorize something or if I need to restore some information, it is also necessary that I may need some time. Okay, so time is very much important to restore some information in our mind. And also after some duration or after some days or after some months, it is also necessary that we should recall that things, so that our memory process is having intact. Okay, and we should not forget that information. So time is very much important in our memory process. Next one is distraction. So in our society there is various distraction or disturbance is present. So if our society is having unhealthy or having disturbance, then it is not possible that we should learn something properly and we should restore something properly in our mind. But if our environment is having very calm and quiet, then it is possible that we should restore all the information in my mind. So here the memory process is intact. So if the distraction is present in our society, then it is also hamper to our memory process. So that is all about your external factor. So external factor of the memory is having 4 types. First one is meaningfulness of information. Second one is amount of material. Third one is time required to vocalize the information, and fourth one is distraction. Next we should discuss what are the intrinsic factor of memory. So intrinsic factor means that is the internal factor of memorization. So there are various internal factor or intrinsic factor is present for memory. For example, first one is age of individual. So age is also one important factor of memory. For example, a young person can memorize things very quickly as compared to a aged one. Okay, so age is also one important factor of memory. Second one is maturity. So our mind mature is very much essential to memory something. Sometimes what happen, the young people are also unable to understood something which is having a complex things or complex materials. Okay, so for that what happen, our psychological development or our psychological maturity is very much essential. So psychological maturity is also one important factor of memory. Next one is will to learn. If a individual person is having that willpower to learn something, then their learning process is also effective and also they should memorize that things very quickly. Next one is interest and attention. If we should attentively listen something and also I am having interested to that topic, to that information, then our memory process is also having very intact. Next one is rest and sleep. If I should take sufficient amount of rest, if I should sleep properly, then I am having a fresh mind. So if I am having a fresh mind, then it is very much effective that we should learn attentively what others are saying. So at that time our memory process is also intact. Next one is intelligent. So if any person is having increased their IQ level or higher IQ level patient is memorize something very quickly as compared to low IQ level of patient. So intelligence is also one important factor in our memory process. Next one is medical condition. So if I am having physically unhealthy, at that time it is not possible that we should memorize something very quickly and clearly. Okay, for example, if a person is having some disorder, for example, the person is having increased blood pressure or hypothyroidism or having Alzheimer's disease, so in that case what happen, the person is not possible to getting all the information properly or memorize something properly. Okay, so medical condition is also one factor which may hamper our memory process. Next one is eating habit. So our nutrition is also one important factor in the memory process. So the food or the nutrition which is rich in vitamin B12 and B6 and also rich in iron and calcium and zinc, then our memory process is having intact. But if the nutrition is having deficient amount of vitamin B12 and B6 and also deficient amount of zinc and also deficient amount of iron, then what happen, our memory process is hampered. And also in that nutrition or diet intake, what happen, if a person is regularly intake the alcohol, then also they should decrease the amount of memorized process. Okay, next one is drugs. So if you should take the benzodiazepam medication regularly, then it may also hamper your memorized process. Next one is psychological problem. So if you are having some psychological problem or having mentally disturbed, at that time also you should not memorize something or some information. For example, if you are having phobia, anxiety, depression or any type of stress related disorder, at that time it is not possible that you should learn properly or memorize some information. Next one is head injury. If you are having some head injury, then also you should not memory something. So accidentally if you are having hamper to your brain, then also it is not possible that you should learn properly and also you should memorize something. So that is all about your internal factors of memory. So that internal factors are age of individual, maturity, will to learn, interest and attention, rest and sleep, intelligent, medical condition, eating habit, drugs, psychological problem and head injury. Next we should discuss what is the memory process. So that memory process is consisting of three characteristics. So the first characteristics here is input, second one is storage or restore and third one is output. So first we should discuss what is input. So input means what? That is one type of encoding of the information. So encoding of that information means whatever the information you should try to receive, how you should receive. Okay, that is called as encoding of the information. So that encoding of the information is also called as methods of information or methods of memorizing. So there are various types of method is present that we should discuss later. So input means what? That is intake of the information, that is called as input. So intake of that information by the form of encoding. Next one is restore. So restore means when you should try to restore that information in your brain or in your mind for some time or for some hour, maybe for lifelong period, then that is called as restore of the information. Next one is output. So output means what? Whenever necessary, if you should utilize that restore information again in your life, then that is called as output. Or whenever necessary, if you should recall that information, then that is called as output. So that is the three main characteristics of information: input, restore and output. Input means whenever you should try to take that information inside of your mind. Restore means when you should try to store that information inside of your mind. Next one is output means whenever necessary, when you should recall that information, then that is called as output. Next, we should discuss what are the memory processes present. So there are mainly 4 memory processes present. So first one is registration, second one is retention, third one is recall, and fourth one is recognition. So first we should discuss what is the registration. So registration means what? That is the input of the information or store of some information in our brain. So the information is stored in our brain as a form of trace, and that trace is conserved in our brain as a form of engrain. So when the information is stored or restored in our brain as a form of trace and engrain, then that is called as registration. Next one is retention. So retention means what? All the information is restored in our brain as a form of trace and engrain as the help of nervous system which is present in our brain. So that process of that activity of the nervous system is called as retention. Okay, so retention means the activity of nervous system which may help to restore the information as a form of trace and engrain in our brain. That is called as retention. Next one is recall. Recall means what? That is the perfect revival of the past experience. When we should remember any past experience, that is called as recall. Next one is recognition. So that recognition is always dependent upon that recall information, or always dependent with that past experience. So recognition means what? We should recall something and it is our duty that maybe we should accept it and also reject it. So that is called as recognition. So recognition means accepting or rejecting of that past experience is otherwise called as recognition. So that are the 4 steps or 4 processes of memory process. So 4 steps of memory process is registration, retention, recall and recognition. Next, we should discuss what are the methods of memory. So there are various methods of memorization is present, but first of all we should discuss what is the whole and part method. So whole method means whole and part method is the best example for remembering a poem. So here you can saw a poem, yes or not? So that poem is consisting of 2 paragraphs, but whole method means what? When I should try to remember that paragraph from starting to ending. For that what happened? I should read that poem again and again. So that is called as whole method. Part method means what? That paragraph is that poem is consisting of 2 paragraphs. So at first I should try to remembering the first paragraph. Then after remembering that first paragraph, again I will try to read the second paragraph. So that process is called as part method. So when we should divided something and try to remember that, then that is called as part method. Whole method means we should not divided the portions, but we should try to remember the whole portion completely. Then that is called as whole method. Okay. Next method of memory is having repetition and practice. So repetition and practice means what? If we should try to receive some information, or if I should try to restore some information and repeatedly I should listen that, then our memory process is effective. Next one is practice means what? If in our learning process there is a long gap is present, I should not learn that learning process that previously experienced or that previously learning. If I should not learn again and again, then also it may hamper our memory process. So practice is also necessary or also effective process in our learning process. Next methods of memory is having spaced or unspaced method. So spaced and unspaced method is a better example for remembering a poetry. Okay, so now here you can saw that poetry, and that poetry is having so long to memorize, yes or not? So spaced and unspaced method means what? In spaced method, if you should remember that poetry for some portion, then again you should take some rest, again you should try to remember, then that is called as spaced method. So in that spaced method, work and rest principle is applied. So work and rest principle, that means you should work for some times, then again you should take rest, then again you should try to work. That is called as spaced method. Unspaced method means if you should remember that poetry from starting to ending, then only you should take rest, then that is called as unspaced method. So between your work you should not take rest, that is called as unspaced method. So between your work when you should take rest, that is called spaced method, and after completing of the work then only if you should take rest, then that is called as unspaced method. Next methods of memory is use of the principle of association. So use of the principle of association means what? Here we should associate or connected so many related things. So when we should connected so many related things with each other, then that is called as use of principle of association, and that is also one factors of memorization. For example, Carson is the sign and symptom of cancer. Okay, so whatever this cancer is present, maybe you are having blood cancer, maybe you are having kidney cancer, maybe you are having breast cancer, whatever the cancer is present. So if I should hear the cancer, then at first I should thought that is the sign and symptom is present, and that sign and symptom is called as Carson. So Carson means what? C for change in bowel and bladder movement, A for a sore absent to heal, U for unusual bleeding, then T for thickening or lump is present in the breast, I for indigestion, O for obvious change to the mole, next N for nagging cough. So that is the primary sign and symptom of the cancer. Okay, so whatever the cancer is present, I should thought that the Carson sign and symptom is present. So here what happened? I should correlated that Carson sign and symptom with cancer. I should connected that sign and symptom with cancer. So that is called as use of the principle of association. Okay. Next methods of memory is having grouping and reading. Okay, so grouping means what? Here it is the best example for remembering by grouping. For example, this is a phone number, yes or not? But now I should group that one. Okay, I should divided that 4 number, then again I should divided that 3 number, again I should divided that 3 number. So that is one group, that is one group, and that is one group. So due to that grouping, it is very easy to remember that phone number. Okay, so that is called as grouping method. So grouping method means what? When we should try to remember something by grouping it, by dividing it, then that is called as grouping. Reading method means what? There is a best example in that reading method is that if I should tell a child to remember A to Z, it is quite difficult for them. Okay, but when they should remember that A to Z by a singing method, by a rhythmical method, that is very much interesting, and also they should memorize that A to Z. Okay, so that is called as rhythm method. So grouping method means when we should try to divide something for remember, that is called as grouping method. Rhythm method means when we should apply some rhymes or some rhythmical or some sing-song method to remember or to recall something, then that is called as rhythm method. Okay. Next methods of memory is having recitation. So recitation means what? Whenever we should try to recall something without the help of any substance, that is called as recitation. For example, if you should try to learn something and you should try to make the note and also you should read it properly, then after reading it you should close your notebook and try to recall all the things, then that is called as recitation. So recitation means remember some information without help of any substance is called as recitation. So that is the important method of memorization. Next methods of memory is utilization as many senses as possible. So there are 5 sense organs present in our body. So in our memory process what happens? If I can only hear something, at that time it is good. But if I can hear and also I can saw something, then our memory process is having very much intact. Okay. For example, I simply tell you what is cell. That is good. But when I can show you that picture, it is cell, then what happened? You can easily remember that it is cell, it is the structure of cell. Why? Because you can show a image. Okay, so that process is called as utilization as many as senses is possible. So if more sense organ is active in our learning process, then what happen? Our memory process is also very quick and also very good. Okay. Next methods of memory is pulling add all together. So pulling add all together means what? It is the organizing form of a disorganized material. Okay, so when we should organize a material, then it is very much effective in our memory process. For example, we should try to remember the years of all program. There are various program is conducted in in every year, yes or not? So when it is effective, if we should rearrange it according to year wise, then it is effective that we should remember about all the program. So that is called as pulling add all together. So pulling add all together means what? When we should try to arrange a disorganized material, that is called as pulling add all together. So if we should arrange a disorganized material, then it is very much effective that we should recall or remember a substance very clearly. Next methods of memorization is having funnel approach. So funnel approach means what? You should having a basic concept before going to a detailed study. Okay, so if you are having a basic concept, then it is also effective to learn something. Okay, for example, before learning the function of a particular system, at first you should know what is the structure of that system, what is the anatomy of that system, where the organ is present. So your learning process is effective and also your memory process is intact. So that is called as funnel approach. So having a basic idea is otherwise called as funnel approach. Next methods of memory is having acronym. So acronym means what? When we should take the first letter of some word, and by that we should get a some enumeration, we should know the enumeration, then that is called as acronym. That for example, plaster of Paris, here we should take the first letter of each word, P, O and P. So P, O, P means I should know that is plaster of Paris. Okay, electrocardiogram, here also we should take the first letter of each word, that is E, C, G. So E, C, G means that is electrocardiogram. So that process is called as acronym. So acronym means what? When we should take the first letter of each word and from that we should get a enumeration, then that process is called as acronym. Next methods of memory is having acrostic method. Okay, so in that process, in that acrostic method also we should take the first letter of each word of a complex material. Okay, that means when we should try to remember a complex material, at that time we should take the first letter of each word. Then again I should make a new word. Then by combining that word, I should make a sentence. From that sentence, we should try to remember that complex material. Then that is called as acrostic method. For example, in a skull there is 6 bone is present. For example, frontal bone, parietal bone, temporal bone, occipital bone, sphenoid bone and ethmoid bone. For remembering that complex material, what we should do? We should apply a technique, and that technique is called as acrostic method. For example, we should take the first letter of each bone. So in that occipital bone, I should take the O letter. So in that O letter, again I should make a word that is old. In that parietal bone, we should take the P letter. From the P letter, I should make a word people. In the frontal bone, we should take the F letter. From that in that F letter, I should make a word from. In the temporal bone, I should take the T letter. From the T, we should make a word Texas. In the ethmoid bone, I should take the E letter and make a word it. In the sphenoid bone, I should take the S letter and I should make a word spider. Okay, so from that bone, from that name list, we should take the first letter and making a word. Then again I should combine that word to make a sentence. So I should combine that old people from Texas eat spider. So that easily remember me that old people from Texas eat spider. So from that name we should remember that bone name. Okay, from that old I should remember occipital bone, from that people I should remember parietal bone, from that from I should remember frontal bone, from that Texas I should remember temporal bone, from that eat I should remember ethmoid bone, from that spider I should remember sphenoid bone. So our learning process is effective and our memory process is also intact. So that is the way, and that way is called as acrostic method, and that is the effective method of memorize a complex material. Next methods of memory is having mnemonic. So mnemonic means what? It is a technique which is applied in our learning process to recall a complex substance. Okay, so whenever we should feel some difficult to recall something, at that time we should utilize some techniques, and that techniques is otherwise called as mnemonic. So that mnemonic is also very important factor in our memory, and it is also containing various steps. So I should make a different video regarding that mnemonic. Okay,